He had a very strong start with a pin against Harvard earlier today. So return to neutral there for Brunner. We'll hear from Jack Miller on the sidelines momentarily.
Yeah, Brown's Jared Brunner, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Eastern Region, all right across the bridge from where we are right now at the Palestra. Gave up a loss via tech fall earlier today, so another tough opponent here for Gallagher of Penn, looking to kind of repeat that on his end. As you mentioned before, a fall earlier today, looking to keep that steam train rolling here, coming into the second match of the day for the Quakers and the Bears, who were at Princeton earlier today.
Hard to beat the doubleheader action here at the Palestra. There's a takedown for Gallagher. We talked a little bit before the show started here about Jordan Lean, the second-year head coach for Brown, taking over a ship that needed some righting, and you can see the signs that the Bears are moving in the right direction here, but as we kind of alluded to earlier on in the broadcast against Harvard, it's a Penn team that's kind of humming on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, Coach Lean was a home run hire. A lot of talk about that guy getting jobs that were open years in the past, and just his background, wrestling at Cornell, assistant at Virginia, and then Pitt. I think he's the right man for the job with Brown. Kind of knows that landscape a little bit, has some great connections, and just a good overall person. Heck of a recruiter as well. And as you mentioned, Brown, kind of on their way on the uppity up a little bit. They were kind of down at the bottom there, working their way back up. It's not going to happen overnight, as we talked about, for how competitive the Ivy League schools are. Brown's going to take a little bit to get up there to challenge, but they're on the way up for sure. And Coach Lean is definitely up for that task. He's the right man for it. As we see Gallagher there, 9-2 lead, 3 takedowns of his own, making quick work here for the Quakers.
Officials for the match today: Rob Butka, Brian Murphy. Ten seconds left here in the round.
4 seconds. 3, 2.
And as this first period expires, Gallagher with a 9-2 lead. And before the second period begins, we'll head down to the sidelines. Jack Miller standing by for more on the match.
Thanks, Joe. Both Brown and Penn are about to face off against each other in the second dual meet of their doubleheaders today, and both teams have completely different stories in their 12 o'clock meets. Brown traveling down to the Palestra after a 36-7 loss on the road against Princeton, and Penn shut out Harvard 43-0 for their second Ivy League win of the season. Penn has won their last 5 dual meets against Brown and shut out the Bears 39-0 last year after beating Harvard earlier today. They are on a 6-meet win streak. I talked to Max Gallagher before the game, or before the meet, and he was telling me that he really likes to start off these meets with a lot of energy, and he likes to get the momentum started quick. He did that in the first meet against Harvard. Now he's trying to do it with a 10-2 lead against Brown. So they're really just trying to continue their win streak to 7.
Jack, thanks a lot. And that's kind of continued here as Gallagher scores another point on the escape.
Yeah, great insight by our guy Jack over there. Nice takedown there by Gallagher. Jack was saying Penn came off a dominant victory. Brown kind of the opposite, got dominated a little bit, had to get back on the bus. Just, nice duck under there by Gallagher, putting on one for the fans here. And, different mentality after a match like that from both teams. So let's see how you bounce back here. Anything can happen with Penn being the favorite, but as I said, it's wrestling. Guys go out there and compete. We've seen weirder things happen, right?
We've heard that Penn's going to be utilizing the same lineup that they did in the first duel against Harvard. What's the recovery process like in between, doubleheader matches here for a guy like Gallagher who exerts so much energy and then comes out and does it again?
Yeah, you just got to – it's kind of prepping you for the end of the year too, NCAAs, you wrestle in the morning. If you win or lose, you come back that night and wrestle. So you kind of get that downtime vibe of what you got to do, how to keep it right, rest up, eat but not too much, drink but not too much, make sure you're feeling good for the next round.
And Gallagher does finish that off with a tech fall. So Max Gallagher has an extremely good day in Ivy League play here against Harvard and Brown. And we are getting word that the 133
last match out was against Cornell, where he lost 16-15 in a barn burner to Josh Saunders, number 31 in the country. So Ayamuno definitely can scrap. Obviously, Composto coming in ranked number 10. You know, so obviously the favorite here on paper, but Ayamuno showed he can compete with some of these ranked guys a little bit. So a little chip on his shoulder. Coming out here to battle. Composto in deep, coming out the back.
Major decision in his match earlier against the Crimson of Harvard.
And once he climbs that, yep, there's the takedown there. Nice tight waist there. Oh, Ayamuno looking for a headlock roll through. Not quite. Ooh.
Good scramble, return to neutral, and Ayamuno back on the attack now for Brown.
Yeah, Ayamuno coming to life a little bit there on that reversal. Almost caught Composto in the headlock. Again, that's one of those moves where it's kind of like to have it the first time you hit it, because now Composto knows it's coming the next time around, kind of has that feel for it. Most likely won't get caught again. Very smart wrestler is Composto. But if you're Ayamuno, you're the underdog. Why not throw the kitchen sink out there and try and go for the fall? I like it.
3-1 lead here. Composto going for that lead leg that time. Good scramble here. Ayamuno protecting.
Looking for a far side cradle here is Ayamuno. Showing off his flexibility there with that knee. Stalemate. Ayamuno, a freshman this year, 10-9 on the season. Composto, as we talked about last match, junior, 16-3 on the year. .30 seconds left, and as we talked about, last dual meet, this is where Penn likes to kind of turn it on, try scoring at the end of the period, try and end the period on top, as they call it in the wrestling world. Get those three-point takedowns with as minimal time as possible to prevent your opponent from getting an escape, or, as we almost saw in Ayamuno's case, a close reversal there.
Yeah, the first 3 or 4 matches for Penn against Harvard in their last duel, they really just blitzed the Crimson, ran all over them. You don't get the impression that that's necessarily going to be the case here in this match, looking at the pace through one period.
Composto picks bottom here. Little premature. Ooh, caution on top. I thought that was on bottom. All right, so there's one caution. Ayamuno gets back up. Yeah, thankfully I never had to wear one of those big shoulder braces, but I can't imagine they're comfortable. I feel like it really limits your motion there, which is what it's supposed to do. I'm not a doctor, but, it just seems like it'd be uncomfortable as a wrestler there.
Well, in addition, right, I get the impression that your escapes, the things that you do, the way that your body moves against the other person, that all changes when one of them's in a sling as well. So
yeah, definitely have to change your style a bit. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so 4-1 lead here for Composto.
What's he looking for here?
It looks like he's trying to hit that wrist. Get 2-on-1, tie, maybe go to his sweep. He likes to go to the right side there, good fake. Yeah, Composto's really good at tying your wrists up, kind of making you worry about hands, and then boom, hits a nice sweep single as you're kind of focused on one thing, right? Very good at maybe, I guess, distraction, for lack of a better word, distracting up top with a hand fight, and boom, comes in right there, single. Ayamuno, good job fighting out, though, man. Still scrapping down there. Really tough to score on, really stingy, showing off his flexibility here as well as Ayamuno.
Really good quickness from the freshman there.
Yep, Composto doing a good job getting his head underneath. Now he wants to come up. He's going to hang on for a stalemate. And again, just Ayamuno kind of frustrating Composto a little bit. He's in deep a few times, scored once, hasn't converted on 2 or 3 of them, and keep doing that over and over again. Like we talked about, it's a lot of wasted energy. You're out there shooting, trying to get to a leg, and sometimes you think that finish is going to be easy. It's not quite as easy. You get frustrated, and that's when you start getting sloppy a little bit, and that's when you give up takedowns. So Ayamuno just doing a good job hanging in there. 15 seconds left in the second period. Not many shot attempts from Ayamuno, though, so don't be surprised if a stall warning comes shortly here. He did a good job there at the edge. Short time.
So now as we head to the third, Ayamuno just a takedown away from squaring this one up.
Ayamuno going down here. Keeps playing with his hands. Looks like there's some, I'm not sure what's going on there.
Well, I mean, you talked about the grip that Composto has
Yeah.
trying to get those wrists, so
Yeah,
possible something got crunched.
It's just a thing too. Like you jam a finger, it's like I can't grab it as well, but you know it's wrestling. I can't take injury time for a finger. I'm tougher than that. It's just one of those annoying kind of naggy things, you know. Composto doing a good job getting the work on top here, looking for that far wrist tilt. A good job taking out Ayamuno's base there with that ankle on the left side, getting him flat. Good job there on top. Still grinding, still pressuring in. See how he's on his toes there, Joe? Driving in. Ayamuno can't really do much. I feel like if he comes up, he's going to get rolled through, which Composto might be baiting him to kind of come up a little bit.
He's done a nice job of flattening him out.
Yep.
Ayamuno knows he's got to get away here and then get a takedown.
Yeah, riding time is now in favor of Composto as well. So there's a stall call on bottom. I think that's very well warranted there. Not many attempts to get out, just kind of basing out, not trying to get turned, which is the definition of stalling, right? Ayamuno, again, Composto has that feel for that roll through headlock, so he's not going to get caught in that again.
Look out. Close to a turn here if Composto is able to control that right shoulder, but officials getting involved here, dangerous.
Yeah, so riding time is locked up, so Ayamuno needs an escape and a takedown here in the next 30 seconds just to tie it and send it to overtime. Essentially a 5-1 score at the moment with riding time locked.
If Composto can get a mat return here, it's a big, big step towards him winning this one.
Yep, nice mat return there. Maybe not as explosive as a big mat return that we saw, but hey, it gets the job done. Ayamuno also has to go big, right? So you kind of felt that drop to a leg, and here goes Ayamuno reaching back, which is what you're not really supposed to do, but desperate times call for desperate measures sometimes. Oh!
Got a little saucy there right at the end. Ayamuno with a big smile saying, hey, I had to try something.
Yep, I almost had him there.
But a decision win for Composto. And Penn, 14-0 in front of Brown.
Lately, 2-13 on the year. And for the Quakers, Cross Wasilewski, 14-3 with a national ranking of number 16. So again, Penn, the heavy favorite here, looking to probably score some bonus points in this matchup and extend that lead. Yeah, they've won the 10 bouts this afternoon, I should say, and then the first 3. So if my math is correct, it's 13 bouts in a row they've won now.
Wasilewski as well with a major decision win earlier this afternoon. So already has shown the ability to get those bonus points, looking for them here in this one. But he finds himself in a battle here against McBurney.
Yeah, see, Wasilewski's going back to the underhook, looking for that far ankle pick, which is what we saw at least 1 or 2 takedowns previous bout, if I remember correctly. Seems to be very comfortable working from there. Yeah, it's always good to have a good underhook. That's good for controlling the tie, controlling the space. Making sure you're in control, hand fighting, and defensively too. If you have a good underhook, guys aren't going to shoot through that because you can get pancaked and just stopped on your shot right away there. So if you have that underhook that Cross is trying to work, it's been good. But Austin coming to this 2-on-1 here, kind of preventing Cross from getting to his favorite tie.
As we're watching these guys, the hand fighting has really been a big factor here. And as they're developing their game plans ahead of their matches, how do you put together a good game plan if you're a wrestler not knowing who you're going to go against sometimes until 20 seconds before the match starts?
Yeah, and in those situations, you just got to kind of have an idea what to look out for either guy. You know, you don't want to work too much on one guy or the other. You still got to go out there and wrestle your match. But, you know, just kind of be wary of, you know, watch a match or two with the guy you might wrestle, what he does. And, hey, he lets you shoot this shot. Okay, so I just got to look out for that. You know, just simple things like that. But all in all, you still got to go out, wrestle your match, score your points, takedowns how you want to do it, and hopefully all goes good from there, right?
So far, so good for Penn.
Yeah, 35 seconds left here. Expect both guys here to try and score at the end of the takedown, which we keep sound like a broken record here, but Penn doing a very good job of that in the last duel. And even here, with the first match of the evening, scoring in the first period.
McBurney doing a nice job of keeping Wasilewski off of the scoreboard.
Ooh,
look out here.
There it is, pancakes.
Points right before, and how many? There's the pin with 1 second left.
Wow. That's why I mentioned that underhook. Wasilewski talking to the Brown a little bit. Looks like he wanted their starter at 149. We saw McBurney. Definitely not their usual starter out there, so we'll see what happens at Ivy Conference.
Show Jude Swisher, number 16, taking on Blake Sato, and we anticipated that this is going to be one that could have some fireworks in it as well.
Yeah, Sato coming in 17-2 on the season, won by major decision earlier today against Princeton. Swisher 18-5 on the year. As you see, rankings are 16-24. The only ranked matchups that we have today, which rightfully so, is our marquee matchup of the day. Interesting enough, both wrestlers 5th place last year at the IWAs. Like we mentioned before, Swisher down at 149. That earned a spot to NCAs for him. And Sato was 5th at 157. Not quite enough to get to the big dance, but he was pretty dang close to being there. And Sato, I believe, is a senior this year, looking to make the NCAA tournament for the first time in his career. Yep, he is a senior. 23-12 last year, 17-2 this year. So just the improvement, you know, just from the last 2 years has been very noticeable. Wrestling at a high level. Southern Scuffle champ this year for the Brown Bears. I believe he was the first one in history. So just a guy that's kind of leaving his mark on the program on his way out.
Product of Ohio.
Excited for this matchup, Joe. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, not at all. But even just looking at the body types that you were talking about, Austin, you can kind of see Sato very familiar with being here, and Swisher making the jump up. You can see that that's kind of the case just looking at the two of them.
Yeah, and then to your point, Sato did do his first two seasons at 149, making the jump up. Last year was his first year, so again, had that extra year to fill into that. You know, and then I guess you can call a little bit of man strike too, just, you know, kind of a little bit more out of high school than Swisher. Swisher's 3rd year out of school. Sato, this is his 5th year out of high school, you know, so that, you know, those 2 years probably do make a difference still at that age. Maybe not our age, we're old, you know, but.
You know what, it feels like every year makes a difference at this point, to be honest.
These young guys, you know, the 2 years can be quite a difference there. It's not a ton of action, but you can see Swisher kind of holding center a little bit more, keeping his butt towards the middle. Sato doing a lot more circling around, reacting to fakes. Nice shot there by Swisher, bringing that leg up. Gonna have a fight here to finish. Sato doing a good job staying on that wrist, not letting Swisher get 2 hands locked. Now Sato's next job. Oh, and Swisher plants into the mat. Nice return there. Right into a nice transition, going high side with the tilt. Now works in a bar.
Swisher with a little bit of excitement to end this opening period, and Sato does not look like he's feeling great on that right side.
Yeah, it looks like he got a little knee twisted there. Great return by Swisher, because it looks like Sato was kind of focusing on holding his wrist, preventing Swisher from getting 2 hands locked. and all of a sudden just kind of hit him with that big trip. Maybe caught Sato off balance a little bit. But, you know, my experience, the best time to trip a guys, we're not really expecting it. Either right away or, you know, fight hands, and then boom, trip. See a lot of guys, you know, those high school guys take a big wind up to try and kick that leg out, and you just kind of see that, feel that coming.
Swisher doing a nice job here.
Close injury time. Yeah, there's something wrong with that knee there. Holding his foot, maybe an ankle.
Nothing dirty about it. Swisher going.
I think it was definitely from that trip. May have landed on that, tweaked it. Knee. Yeah, it looks like a knee there.
It's the same side that he was kind of favoring at the end of that first period.
Yeah. Yeah, Joe, we're at a weird point in the season here. You know, EIWAs and Ivy Leagues for these guys, it's a month away. You know, so if you're hurting a match like this, do you continue to wrestle and risk hurting it more? Or do you just end the match now, save them for conferences? You know, it's always a tough decision on the coaches and the athletic staff. But, you know, this coming in, this was a big matchup. You know, winner of this one could have earned a first or second, you know, with Maya Shapiro from Cornell being there, probably a second seed. So here's the replay here. It looks like it's his knee that's up in the air, right?
Yeah, it's being really
got twisted there.
Oh, there it is.
It looked like. Yeah, but great transition there to not stop wrestling there by Swisher. So Sato's going to walk it off, test it out, see how it feels.
Officials looking on. My untrained eye says that this doesn't look great. His body posture and body language doesn't look great. He gave a little shake of his head. He's not quite sure about this.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning before. You know, a month till Ivies. You know, if it's a sprain, you're probably going to be out for 2 or 3 weeks. Do you even want to keep risking that, make it worse? Or I'm sure the competitor in him wants to wrestle. But I think the smart thing is maybe stop it, and that's what we're going to get here, I think. Yeah. Unfortunate injury default. Our marquee matchup didn't really live up to the hype, but you know, always got to protect these guys, getting ready for March. Sato, best wishes to him. Hopefully he's okay. Seems like it's just a kind of a tweak, out for a little bit, but hopefully nothing too major for him. Excited to see this matchup again at Ivy's conferences next month.
So kind of a down note to send us to this breather, but for a pickup, we head down to the sidelines. Jack Miller is standing by to send us into the halftime break.
All-American CJ Compasto. And CJ, you won both your matches today. So did Cross. Cross has been just a fantastic guy that has been improving throughout the season. What have been your thoughts on him and seeing him grow?
My thoughts on Cross, he's pretty much a brother to me. Not a literal brother, but about as close as it gets. And whether we step on the line ever again, like I know that's a brother I'm going to have for my life. And we've had some really good talks. He's made me a lot better person. I think he would say the same. So, yeah, Cross is my boy.
Have you been giving him any tips this season at all of like how to just get better at all or what?
He's been giving me a lot of tips. I've been giving him a lot of tips. It's I had a lot of older guys when I was in the program. Specifically probably Anthony Artolona. He's someone that taught me. He was captain, one of the best guys on the team, and I'd see him after practice asking the freshmen and the sophomores for help on technique. So, like, Artie really instilled that mentality in me that you can learn from anyone, sometimes even more from the younger guys because they're so ambitious. They're always trying to get better. And so I've learned a lot from Cross, and shout out to Anthony Artolona for teaching me always.
Now then, risk letting it get worse. I'm sure those two will see each other at Ivy's coming up in next month.
So on we go, second half about to get underway. Andy Trzynski is getting the start for Penn. Keegan Rothrock will wear the singlet here for Brown.
Rothrock, a senior, Bellefonte, PA native, 8-13 on the season. Andy Trzynski, 5-6 on the season, and he is a junior out of Del Barton.
Coming off of that win against Harvard earlier this afternoon, looking to make it 2 in a row, pull his record back to 500.
Yeah, nice low shot there by Trzynski. Got to keep his head up. Rothrock doing a good job trying to lock in that crotch. Oh, nice scrambling here. Trzynski doing a good job. Rothrock, nice hips though. Good job, just solid defense there, getting his hips back and away.
.145 left in the period. No score after all that action.
Yeah, Trzynski and Paul Ognisanti kind of in a position battle here at 165 for the Quakers. Rothrock is also in a position battle for the Bears with Harrison Trahan kind of in the mix here. So again, both of these guys trying to prove to their staff, like, hey, I'm the guy, pick me. So, a little hesitancy here from both guys. Just trying to solidify their spot in the lineup here and be able to compete at Ivies.
What goes into deciding those position battles? How much of it happens here on the mat versus in practice and things like that?
Well, there's always a debate on that every year. It comes up. The old school debate is whoever wins the wrestle off is the guy, which now is not so much the case because you're not training to beat your teammate. You're training to beat other people, right? So, a lot of these open tournaments that these teams are going in, a lot of these invites are entering multiple guys, and, whoever performs better throughout the season against common components is usually the guy. So, sometimes it does end up even, and it is a wrestle off at the end of the year, which no one likes to see because you just, like I said, you're not trained to beat one guy. You kind of know what your teammate does. You wrestle them all year, so there's so much familiarity there. But a lot of it is who's wrestling better, even if they're not winning, who's performing better, who's more coachable, and who's kind of making leaps and bounds, since the season starts.
15 left here in the opening period. Good shot in here by Trzynski, but fought off nicely by Rothrock.
4 seconds. 3, 2, 1, time.
There we go. Good job fighting off those takedowns by Rothrock. Yeah, Rothrock looks a little bit taller, a little bit leaner. Definitely wins the tattoo competition though. A little more tats.
Yeah, the ink ratio not quite there for Trzynski.
Yeah. Yeah, I was always a little intimidated when guys had tattoos because I never had any. This guy can stand a needle. He's tough.
Well, you don't have anybody that anybody can see. I mean, let's not remove all the mystery.
That's true, yeah.
That restart in the middle.
So those singlets show a lot of skin, but not all of it, Yeah, so good mat return there by Rothrock, using his leverage to kind of get Trzynski off the mat, slam him down a little bit. But Trzynski right back to the middle, ready to go here. Rothrock going double thigh pry, trying to get some position. But Trzynski doing a good job getting to his feet, kind of peeling out. Rothrock trying to run him off the mat, it looks like a little bit. And we get an action call. Penn fans behind us want a stall call.
Yeah, they don't like that too much.
Yeah. See, usually the ref would give the guy one time, kind of give him a look, say, hey, man, that's not wrestling. Let's mat return here. We can't run him to the edge. So I'm sure there's a call coming if that were to happen again. But I'm not a ref. I'm not going to speak out of turn, right?
Trzynski gets it out right away now and takes the first lead of this one.
Yeah, so Trzynski was in twice, 2 times here in the first period, couldn't finish. So let's see if he goes back to that. Let's see if he finds some kind of other shot. Haven't seen Rothrock take too many attempts. Been very good defensively thus far, though.
Getting the wrestle from the officials.
Yeah, and sometimes if you're the more offensive wrestler and you can't really score because you know your opponent's more defensive, you are a little hesitant to take those shots because you know that guy's good defensively. It has to be a crisp setup, crisp finish, just to ensure that takedown, avoid the scrambling, which Rothrock seems to be pretty good at here. And for how long and lanky he is, it might be a little challenging for a guy like Trzynski to finish too. Looks like Rothrock was pretty good at sitting that corner, you know, kind of limp legging out, just kind of really using his long monkey arms to kind of leech all over Trzynski there.
Well, Trzynski, right? You've been the aggressor, but you certainly don't want to fall into something on the bottom.
Exactly, yeah. You kind of felt, and you know, you felt a few different finishes didn't work there, and you did become a little hesitant in your choices here.
So now Rothrock will start on the bottom, the chance to square things up within a.
Yeah, 35 seconds of riding time for Rothrock, so not a factor at the moment here. Trzynski goes double thigh pry as well. Rothrock doing a good job, staying on his feet. So here we are, 1-1. Maybe this will be our marquee matchup. Maybe we spoke too soon.
Or nothing between these two with 1:40 left.
You can see Rothrock getting a little more pep in his step here. Confidence growing a little bit more. Maybe, not sure if it's a gas tank thing. Maybe he feels like he has an edge in conditioning here, or he wants to push the pace, force Trzynski into a shot. Not sure what his thinking is there, but you can kind of see the body language, you know, from Rothrock getting picked up a little bit more here. So a lot of hand fights, no real attempts yet. Coming down to a minute left in the match, someone's going to have to start making some moves. Rothrock being the aggressor, moving forward again.
Yeah, kind of a half shot there from Rothrock. Trzynski hasn't really been that active since the first period.
Yeah, I agree.
See if he has another shot in him here. So we approach 40 seconds left.
There's an attack there. Stall call for Rothrock. He doesn't agree with it, so now he shoots. Oh, he's going upper body. Oh. Ooh.
That was the first stall warning, so no point awarded.
Yeah, Trzynski takes another half shot there. That's not going to do it, though. 20 seconds left. I don't want to speak too soon, but we might have our first overtime match of the day. Oh, and
Trzynski trying to change that.
Rothrock doing a good job limping that knee out. Oh, he's locking up a cradle, it looks like. Not quite. Going around. Oh, he's going upper body.
5 seconds left.
Oh, boy.
3, 2, 1.
And we will head for bonus wrestling action.
Usually you pay for extra. Not today, boys. Some free wrestling here. Overtime, 2 minutes. Riding time not a factor. End of that third period got a little spicy there. I'd like to see that continue in overtime if we can. Remember, stall warning on Rothrock might come into play, which I would hate to see a match end like that, you know, but if it's egregious enough, sometimes the ref will call it. Nice shot there.
Shot in Trzynski.
Rothrock just using his length, sitting in that corner. Keeping Trzynski's head on the mat, which is what you want to do. Rothrock splitting them. Oh, boy. We're looking down here. Watch these knees. Oh, jeez. Oh, boy. Oh,
Rothrock,
had
what
a
about
cradle.
this?
Not quite. No takedown yet.
Trying to get that leg free is Rothrock.
That should be a takedown.
There it is.
Rothrock, he's pumped up. Win for the Bears to avoid the shutout at 165. And he kind of felt that momentum shift there a little bit. Trzynski was in deep in the first period twice, couldn't finish. Rothrock scored on a defensive takedown.
So Rothrock comes up with the win, gets Brown on the board. We'll step aside for a breather. Quakers still in command. Rothrock wins it in overtime for Brown.
Academy Prep School standout and Cleary from my neck of the woods, Nazareth, Pennsylvania High School, District 11. Not too far up the road here.
In the top left of your screen, you see Rothrock finishing off in overtime against Trzynski. In Contreras is now, not that he ever wasn't, but really has established himself this season as the tone setter for Penn.
And Cleary was one of the winners in Brown's earlier today against Princeton. Sato was a winner by major decision from 157, and Cleary won his first match 3-0. So he's coming off and looking to keep that momentum going, but obviously a tough task here. And Incontrera with number 6. But Cleary with a nice dump on the edge, looking for the takedown, and he awards it. That might get waved off here because I didn't think that was a takedown angle.
Challenge brick incoming from Roger Reyna.
If the refs aren't going to look at, refs are going to look at it. No challenge brick needed. I like that. But yeah, nice little dump attempt there by Cleary. Maybe we could get a replay just to see what that was. It was almost 2, but I think Incontrera was close enough to the edge, which kind of drug Cleary out, and maybe even Incontrera stepped off the mat, which again, I see every broadcast I do. Why are the mats not bigger on the edge? If you can still be in bounds and your foot is out, make the mats bigger. Seems like common sense to me, but not so common anymore. I don't know. But hopefully that's a rule change that they implement in the next year or 2 coming up.
Well, you've got to credit wrestling just in general as a sport for being receptive to ideas for rule changes over the last several years. So throw your hat in the ring there. Who knows, Austin?
Yeah, if anyone's out there listening, implement it. If my word means anything, please.
Rob Mutka, Brian Murphy, the officials taking a look at the replay monitor.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see who wrestlers kind of communicate with more. You see Darian Cruz, he's a lightweight coach out there giving advice to Incontrera, who's, what, at least 12 inches taller than him, 50 pounds bigger than him, but sometimes you just work with someone else and just their style fits you, they communicate with you better. It's, you know, tons of different reasons.
Well, part of it, right, some of your other choices, Doug Zapp might be a little bit too close, former teammate.
Exactly,
you know,
yeah. I'm sure they scrap too often in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Darian, first year there, a fresh set of eyes.
So no takedown awarded. Good job on the officials to make that pretty speedy as well and get it right.
Yeah, I think the right call there, at least in real time from what I saw. Didn't look like a takedown. But like you said, good on the refs to get it quick and get the right call there. Yeah, a lot of people harp on refs for missing a call here and there, but they have a hard job, man. They're out there. They see things differently at such a speed. You got to make a split-second decision. You got to stand by your call. Usually it's tough.
Yeah, a lot of times, too, the margins are so razor thin between what is a takedown, what isn't.
Yeah, and these guys have so much going through their head, too. It's, you know, how many shots is one guy taking? When do I need to call stalling? Are we out of bounds? You know, there's so many things they're looking at in situations like that. Which is, yeah, you have the second, but, you know, they gotta agree on it a lot. So Cleary in a nice shot there.
It's in pretty deep.
Yeah, he is. Good position with his head down. He's got to keep sucking that up. Good job. Incontrera forces his head to the middle. Cleary needs to come out the back. Stalemate there. A nice shot by Cleary there.
You know, so much focus is often put on Incontrera's offense. You don't really get to see his defense featured that often. But that was a master class from Incontrera.
Nice double there.
Yeah, and there's that offense we were talking about. But it looked like a dangerous shot from Cleary, and Incontrera really neutralized it into a stalemate.
And Incontrera hit a little bit of a blast double there. I'm sure he's felt that a few times wrestling Jordan Burroughs in the PRTC practices every now and then. Sure, that can't feel good having a guy like Jordan Burroughs blast double you.
I'm thinking not.
Head to the chest. Whew.
Final 20 seconds of this one here in the first period. There you go, the small mats coming into play once again, Austin.
There you go, yep. Yeah, so big seconds here. If you're clear, you want to get to your feet, try and cut away, but obviously a huge ride out for Incontrera. Not only on the scoreboard, but for riding time too. You know, 41, that's going to keep ticking up here to over 50 seconds. Jump the gun there on green. Cleary, a little too quick in the start. Like I said, Cleary from District 11, kind of area where I grew up, so I kind of followed that area wrestling. And I'm pretty sure Cleary was, I know Nazareth had a kid. It might have been Cleary. I could be misspeaking here, but I think he was like 112, 119 his sophomore, junior year, and then got up to like 160. Kind of had a huge growth spurt Again, it could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure it was clear. Just crazy how kids grow like that, grow 50 pounds in an off season. Oh, I'm a big boy now, you know.
College cafeterias, college weight rooms.
Yep.
Makes a difference.
I see the freshman 15. Sometimes you get the high school 50. You know, you just hit a big growth spurt.
Incontrera will start on the bottom here, period number 2.
See what Cleary's got on top here, if anything. Looking to drive forward here. Doing a good job there is Incontrera. Yep. Just one thing to the next, staying in position. That's how they teach you there. Good job by Nick Incontrera getting out from bottom. So Incontrera has wrestled Cleary in the past, won by fall. This was January of 2 years ago, 2023. So Cleary's obviously gotten a little better than that since then, but also has Incontrera, so I expect the match to be a little closer here. Incontrera, nice offense. Whoa, he's going to stack him, almost pin him. Nice scrambling here on the edge. Incontrera doing a good job shelving there. That's what you want to do. Cleary just kind of hanging on, pinching tight. Not much more he can do there. Takedown for Incontrera. Getting back to his offense, like you mentioned, Joe. Hit a blast elbow before, now hit a little inside head sweep. Kind of showing you the best of both worlds there.
For a second there, Cleary was in major trouble.
Yeah.
He's surrendering just the takedown there, but it could have been worse about 10 seconds earlier.
Yeah, Cleary did a good job fighting off his back into a scramble. Just ended up in the wrong position with Incontrera just kind of smothering you like that, and it's tough to get away from guys like that.
Incontrera's lead reaches 7. He's up over a minute of ride time now.
Got 15 seconds left here. Cleary doing a good job trying to get to his feet, but Incontrera just so good on top there.
4 seconds.
Yeah, that would have been a big escape for Cleary going into this period, but Incontrera makes sure that that doesn't happen and preserves his 7-point lead heading into the third. What's the game plan here for both of these guys heading into the third?
Well, if you're Incontrera, you probably just want to keep working offense, keep working get your takedowns. If you're clear, you obviously want to get escape here to start, and get a takedown of your own. Prove to yourself that you can take a guy down once in a match, and next time you wrestle him, maybe that takedown is 2 times, maybe 3 times, and you kind of close that gap a little bit there. Especially when you're just so outmatched, wrestling a guy like Incontrera, you can kind of take any positive and build off that if you can, right?
Especially when you're talking about their history together. Last time he flattened you out, so
yeah.
Already that hasn't happened.
And again, these guys are obviously Ivy League opponents, are going to possibly meet at Ivy Championships coming up in March, and sometimes that second meet between the guys can be totally different because you have a feel of what what your opponent's instincts are, what they're feeling, what they're looking for, and enough tape study and just kind of drilling that with someone else in the room, feel for that, and definitely make these matches closer at the end of the year. 1:15 left here, riding time locked up, so essentially a major decision. I'm sure Incontrera is looking for a turn here. But Cleary doing a good job getting to his feet. Incontrera right back on him, though, as you can see. He wants to finish this match with another takedown, it looks like.
Stoppage with 55 seconds left here.
head-on shot. Ooh, nice go behind attempt. Nice re-attack, but yeah, just Incontrera too quick.
Able to get the back. 43 seconds left.
Yeah, look, Cleary had a nice re-attack. I honestly think he went to the wrong leg. he went to Incontrera's back leg. I think he would have been better off just going to a sweep there. But obviously, I'm just a dummy behind a desk. Hindsight's 20/20, right? Sometimes he might have felt something there that. Well, we got 3 takedown, and then potentially dangerous call. Not an injury time. Looks like the ref stopped something there he didn't like.
But still awarded the takedown.
Yep.
Interesting sequence there.
Yeah, sometimes if your foot, it looks like his foot maybe got caught in the mat or something kind of out of his, not really his fault. But again, man, we're late in the season, like we keep saying. Better to prevent injuries than anything.
No doubt.
Penn coaches are looking for an injury time. 1 escape awarded for Incontrera. Looks like he's going to try and get another one here. 13-3. Yep, there's a sweep.
Oh, close here. Gets the 3.
Ooh. 16-3.
Cuts him loose.
Yep. 1 takedown will be a tech fall for him. 16-4.
10 seconds left to get it. Incontrera working for that tech fall. Cleary keeping those legs clear for now. Incontrera has 1 leg. 2 seconds and 1. He gets it!
Wow.
Beats the buzzer. And Nick Incontrera, just in the nick of time, comes up with the tech fall. As we head to 184, where number 18, Max Hale for Penn, takes on Drew Real for Brown. Mentioned Hale kind of up and down in his last couple appearances. Was able to come up victorious earlier today.
Yes, 17 in the year now, as you see, number 18 ranked in the country. 8th at EIWAs last year, which is good enough to qualify for NCAAs. But this should be an interesting matchup because Andrew Real from Brown, freshman, 10-10 on the year, but he has 2 wins over higher ranked opponents. He beat Will Ebert of Big Ten, who's number 28, and he beat number 17, Dill Signori of University of Tennessee Chattanooga. But then he went and got majored today by the number 25th wrestler Mulhauser Princeton. So Real kind of up and down, mixed results against some of these ranked opponents here, but definitely a winnable match if you're Brown.
You know, that's kind of what you were talking about earlier, Austin, with the potential of a lot of these young wrestlers coming in with a lot of great tools, but, you know, still figuring out how to wrestle on the fly. Sometimes consistency is one of the later things to come.
You know, as you mentioned, kind of last broadcast, too, Penn with the experience, and another example here, Real was a freshman out of Rhode Island, and Hale's a 5th-year senior here out of Downingtown High School up the road. So again, a lot more savvy, veteranish you'll see out of Hale. And Real just kind of more of a gamer, more of a goer. Some mixed results probably because of that. But yeah, this has potential to be a good match here, Joe.
Clashing at the center once again, these two. We're all getting the instruction from the coaches to snap down on Hale.
A little bit of feeling out process here. Hale heavy on the head, trying to get Real underneath.
Approaching 30 seconds left in this period. Hale got a takedown in the first 3 seconds of his last match. Taking a little bit longer this time. But not that much longer.
Wow.
Oh, that got close. They're throwing the.
And here comes a late challenge brick. Good throw by Coach Darian Cruz. A little uncertain about it.
He's showing you the form. He didn't even stand up. He just
seated throw. And Coach Matt Valeni reminding the refs, hey, it's a cylinder. You don't have to physically touch the mat as long as you're you know, those end lines, they extend up infinity to the ceiling, so as long as your hand is hovering above that line, you're technically still in bounds. So just a good reminder from Coach Lenny over there. For some coaching from Coach Ty Walls, former Virginia Tech heavyweight standout, in his second year with Coach Jordan Lean. Good look there at Coach Jesse Delgado, full-time NCAA champion. Back in his day, he was always fun to watch as a 125-pounder. Yeah, Joe. Unfortunately, this that takedown was on the complete opposite side for us, so I didn't get a good look at that. It's hard to tell where the line was. It was definitely a takedown. Just were they in bounds or not? I think that's the question, obviously. 15 seconds left, and as we talked about, Penn scoring late in the match. This is a huge takedown.
Starting to become a little bit of a calling card for the Quakers in that arena.
Yeah, next time you watch a Penn match, you should have a bingo card ready. Scoring late in the match is one, you know. Tech fall majors are up there. So neutral, no takedown. Calling the mat stands. 15 seconds left here. They go back to the middle. Wonder how aggressive Hale's going to be. See if he wants to get that takedown. If, it looks like they'll just ride it out here. 6 seconds left.
3, 2, 1.
And that's how this one wraps. Second period coming up. Brown defers. So Hale will start on bottom. Roger Reyna looking on.
Big lift by Real.
He was looking for the mat return, didn't get it. Return to neutral for Hale. He's on the board first.
Yeah, see if Hale goes back to that front headlock position. Kind of got that standing and brought Real. And you know, didn't have to work too hard for that go behind there. That we almost had that takedown. See if he goes back to that. But also on the flip side, if you're Real, you kind of expect that to come again, and you know, fight that position a little harder next time to avoid that near takedown.
It's a full mind game situation. I mean, outside of that shot attempt on the far side, he's been kind of a little bit more reserved offensively than he was earlier against Harvard.
Yeah, and that could be the afternoon, you know, nap time.
Yeah.
You and I were talking here. It's 3 hours between matches. What do? You know, do you take a nap? Do you stay up? Do you eat? How much do you eat? You know, you don't want to get over full because you got to go out and compete. You got to kind of warm up again, start the whole process over. I'm sure these guys were out having, like some of the fans were having a beer and a burger and some fries. You know, I'm sure they were eating nice and light. Get ready for this match.
Nothing in ride time between these two. An 8-second advantage for Brown. Real's done a nice job of kind of neutralizing Hale, keeping him on the outside.
4 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
And there you go, nothing happening in period number 2. Real starts down.
Yeah, and we mentioned it last dual meet too. You know, Hale doesn't typically throw up a ton of points on the board. This is more of his style. 1 takedown, sometimes a 2 takedown match. You're not going to see many falls, even majors, from a guy like Max Hale, but he's definitely hard to score on. So, you know, kind of take it and give it as you go.
They'll restart at the center.
This is where that, you know, being a freshman as Real, that's where the biggest adjustment is on the mat wrestling. If you can get out here, it's huge, but Hale, being the 5th-year senior, knows how important that ride time is, or even a turn here, not quite. And Real maybe wants to stay in bounds, make Hale return them, waste some energy. They go out of bounds. 23 seconds of riding time for Hale. About 90 seconds left in the bout. So Real back up to his feet.
Hale gets the mat return there, keeps a foot in as well.
A lot of wrestling. Yeah, see, if you're Real, you got to learn to stay in the middle. Don't let Hale drive it to the edge, because he's going to use that to his advantage every time he can. It's good to make a mat return, but you want to have him do that in the middle. There's a caution there on Real. So 33 seconds of riding time for Hale in his favor.
That point could still be up for grabs depending on what happens here in the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, he can even give up a stall call if he wants to, as long as he gets that riding time point. But Hale doing a good job, up to his feet. But, oh, Hale, good mat return. Another good one.
Hale doing a great job here. This is now up to, well, the next second will be a minute of ride time.
And Real, ooh, his hip just in a little too much. You want to see him get his hips out, prevent Hale from locking if possible. There we go, out of bounds again. Hale's going to use that to his advantage. Real's got to kick away. Doing a good job to a switch, and they go out of bounds.
Oh, Brown doesn't like that.
Maybe looking for a locked hands call as well, with a lot of switches going on, a lot of... Every time Real comes to his feet and gets slammed down, you're always looking for that locked hands call. Big mat return by Hale.
That's it for ride time, too. Now the challenge break does come out.
Might be looking for a locked hands call or a singlet pull. Looks like he grabbed. Yeah, I think Coach Lean's looking for a singlet pull, which would be a point. Not quite locked hands, but still gets a point. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a desperation challenge or if that's if he actually saw something. 18 seconds could be a strategic challenge. Give your wrestler a break, give him a breather, because he's got to explode, score some points here somehow, right?
Hale getting some advice and guidance from his coaches over there. He's done a nice job in this third period of neutralizing any threat coming from Real.
Yeah, and that's, if you're Real, it's frustrating because you feel like you do everything right. You get to your feet, but you do like 98% of it, 99% of it, just that 1% prevents you from getting that escape. And, again, a guy like Hale, 5th year, has been around the block a while, really knows, the savviness, and he's going to make you earn that point. And that could be the match here.
Refs taking their time at the replay monitor.
Yeah.
Want to make sure that they get this one right in such a low-scoring, close bout.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the rule is, because if you challenge for pulling the singlet, for instance, but they see a locked hands, I think they could still call a locked hands even though that wasn't the call for the challenge, or vice versa. So I think the replay could help them either give them a locked hands or just a singlet pull.
I believe that is part of the suite of rules changes from a couple of years ago, rather than challenging something specific. So at the same time as the takedown was changed from 2 to 3 points, I'm pretty certain that video review includes that now as well.
Yeah, so they're probably looking at a few different things here. So let's see what they're going to be. They're still looking at. Looks like the call's been made. They're still looking. Oh, headset goes back on. Not sure what they're looking at, Joe. tends to make me think it's a reverse call somehow. Maybe they're looking at riding time.
You mean in favor of Brown in this case?
Yeah, just the way he took the headset off, looked at it again. Technical violation. Wow. 1 point green. So now technically, since they threw the challenge brick, they're going to put 8 seconds back on the clock because that's when the violation occurred. So we went from 18 seconds to go now down to 26 because that's when the violation occurred. So that gave Real another 8 seconds to try and get Napier to tie it up.
Well, actually, it is tied up.
Technically, but with riding time,
ride time,
yeah.
yes.
So now it'll be 2-1 now, essentially. But Hale backing on a sweep.
Look out.
There's an action call. Yeah, Brown got a little pep in their step now. Real down, technically up 2-1, but riding time's going to tie it 2-2. We might have another overtime bout.
Unless something changes in the next 5 seconds.
4 seconds. 3, 2, 1, time.
All right, we're going to overtime.
So here we go.
Starting in neutral here.
Yeah, that's just a huge blow for Hale. Thinking you're in the driver's seat, up 1-0, 2-0 riding time. Everything changes in an instant for you, but he's back on a shot here. He's got to keep coming to his feet. Good job there. He's got to work on the trip, make it count.
Hale trying to walk him back into the center, going for that trip.
Yeah. But Real doing a good job, kind of posting with both hands, keeping some space in between. Hale working on the leg, working up the leg. You want to get towards his knee if you can. You don't want to stay down that ankle for too long. And he goes out of, and they go off the mat. And Real back to the middle. You can kind of see the momentum shift a little bit here, Joe.
Brown bench is fired up here.
Oh, and a nosebleed. Brown wants to take care of that quickly.
Yeah, momentum solidly with Brown now.
You can tell by the body language here. You know, Real jumping over there, getting cleaned up. Hale kind of taking his time. Little Taylor Swift bad blood action going on.
That's good work by the crew here in the Palestra.
Yeah, props to the DJ over there. Brown training staff taking their time cleaning up that blood. A little bit of home mat advantage there, and the refs want to see it cleaned up. Looks like it's still wet. Penn coach is saying, let's go, let's clean up this blood, let's get going. They got a bus ride. Some of us got to get home for work tomorrow. Brown trainer out there. Help clean up the mat, speed this up.
Action resumes here. Just kidding.
Get a big towel out there. Get a beach towel.
Yeah, why are we using tissues?
Yeah.
Oh, no, not the jacket. Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
Oh, the jacket doesn't need to for this.
Such a
Okay, all right. Whew.
very gentleman move, like for Coach Darian Cruz, laying down the jacket. Like those old school movies, you know, lay the jacket in the
Right
puddle,
down in the puddle.
For the lady to step in, not get her heels wet. 1 minute left here. We've had an action-packed overtime and third period. 2-2 here. Real looking for a big win.
Crowd getting into this one. Sudden victory, 45 seconds left. Hale going for the shot.
Nice shot there. Nice sprawl by Real. This one might just come down to guts. You know, who wants it more? Who's going to refuse to lose at this point? 30 seconds left on their feet. You got to think if we go to rideouts here, advantage goes to Hale and Penn. Definitely got that riding time point in regulation.
Hale another shot.
Double on shot by Hale, not quite. 15 seconds left. See if anyone pulls the trigger late. Nice snap there by Real.
4 seconds. 3.
Real goes for a shot. Going to get it.
Wow. Here we go.
Battle continues between Hale and Real. Don't forget that it was all Hale until the video review revealed a technical violation that awarded a point to Brown and squared the score.
So just a reminder to the fans, Hale scored the first point, so he gets choice. He will go down first. There is 30 seconds on the clock, no riding time. If he does escape, wrestling will continue. And after this 30 seconds, Real will go down. Whoever has more riding time will be the winner. And if they're even, they go back to their feet for another minute. And there's cautions to keep in mind here. Real's going to need a big lift and return. Oh, nice mat return there.
That was a heavy collision on that.
Hale looking to grab me. And
Does get free.
12 seconds of riding time for Real. But Real can keep moving here. If he gets a takedown, that would be huge. Or if Hale can get one.
4 seconds. 3, 2, 1, time.
Wow, Real. Looks like he has a little more in the gas tank here. Brown team wants a stall. So Real has 11 seconds to get out, stay ahead, or 12 seconds to tie it up. Anything more than that, advantage goes to Hale. Real up to his feet right away. Just can't go to the edge of the mat. You don't want to do that if you're Brown. Out of bounds. Almost a locked hands there.
3 seconds of ride time left here.
Yeah, so it looks like Real's going to need to get an escape. And Hale push him to the edge. They go out of bounds again. Sometimes these circles are just too small, Joe.
And maybe larger mats would be the answer. I've heard that from somebody smart recently.
I agree. Whoever that smart guy was, get him in contact with me.
13 seconds left here in this sudden victory period.
So Real gets escape. He needs a takedown now or a ball. Yeah, both freshmen here. Taylor 6 and 13 after today's win. Sandoval 9 and 11 on the season. Sandoval took a major loss to Luke Stout, who's ranked in the top 20 from Princeton at 197. So tough outing for him. Looking to reverse that result here against a more comparable opponent in Nate Taylor. Taylor, Greens Farm Academy, prep school up in Connecticut. Sandoval, a freshman out of Vacaville, California.
Oh, man, my birthplace,
Yeah.
meaning Cowtown, California.
Really?
Yes.
Is it Vaca? Or
Vaca.
Vaca.
Vacaville,
So
California.
I was wrong both ways. There we go. Yeah, so you guys have something in common. Maybe
See that?
You're long relatives or something.
It
maybe.
could be. You know, we look just alike, don't you think?
You should introduce yourself after the match. May have a common ancestor somewhere.
That has to be. Might be Adam, but we've still got him somewhere.
There we go.
Penn up big here in this one. And we talked about Nate Taylor as being one of those guys for Penn who's in a position battle at 197 with Jackson Zimmerman. Sanders was battling Alex Hamrick for that spot on Brown's roster. So this is an important bout for both of these wrestlers.
Yeah, and Sandoval wrestled earlier today. You know, wrestling twice today. To me, I could be completely wrong here. Just my assumption would mean maybe he's the guy. You know, wrestled twice today. And
You have the inside track.
yeah, see how that works out. If you kind of get beat both times pretty bad, maybe to give the other guy a shot next weekend. But, you know, just the lineup that Penn put out might be their lineup by the end of the year. I do not know that. Again, I'm just assuming. But sometimes you wrestle twice in a day. That's usually a good sign if you're in a position battle. Where a lot of times you'll see, you know, one guy wrestle in the afternoon, one guy in the later match, or vice versa. But
Sandoval getting the instruction from his bench to start thinking about the offense here. Inside 30 seconds left in this opening period. Both officials kind of informing the wrestlers that they'd like to see something happening here.
Yeah, just looking at Brown's roster, majority of them are underclassmen. Soft freshmen, there's a few juniors and seniors sprinkled in there, but, you know, it's, I hate to say it, but Brown taking a few lumps this year in their dual meet schedule, but a lot of youth in that program. It's only Coach Lean's second year there, like we've harped on before. It's going to take time to build that program and get one good recruit here. Maybe the year after you get two good guys, kind of start filling in holes as you need. And, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. I think there's a saying like that, if I'm mistaken. But
well, one of the other cool things for head coach Jordan Lean is that in addition to bringing in the talent and overhauling the roster that way, you also get to build your culture from the bottom up, right?
Yep,
So much of that is bringing in young freshmen and sophomores and getting the guys to really buy in and set the tone for what the next 4, 5, 6 years are going to look like for your program.
Yeah, it's good to have kind of Brown really opening up to Coach Lean's needs. You know, being an Ivy League school, sometimes those athletic departments are a little restrictive on what they can offer, but that's starting to kind of flip here, especially in wrestling and other Olympic sports, given kind of all the resources that he needs, connecting with alumni, making sure that guys are, you know, getting some NIL offers if possible, and boom, there's a takedown by Sandoval. So it's just good to have the whole athletic department and alumni association on board up there at Brown.
Taylor gets the escape after the Sandoval takedown.
Yeah, only 6 seconds of time from Sandoval, though. Again, that's the difference between these matches. Brown would get a takedown. They'd have 10 seconds of riding time, 5. Right. You know, Penn would take you down, and they're going to ride you. They're going to really make you earn that escape point. With Sandoval, again, being a freshman, that's going to, you know, getting rep at that time, that's going to come to show you how important just one match could be, because you could buy yourself an extra 30 seconds if you plant the guy down right, get a wrist the right way, and boom, start riding. That time does add up.
Final 10 seconds of this period. Sandoval with a 3-point lead.
4 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
And we head to the third. Taylor's got to make something happen here. Going to start with this escape attempt. You mentioned Sandoval not with a ton of ride time earlier on here when he did get his takedown.
Yeah, let's see if he commits to a ride here. Or if Taylor just gets to his feet and he lets him go. Yep, there we go. So 2 opportunities on top, and he has 2 seconds of riding time, does Sandoval.
Good sprawl there by Sandoval.
Yeah, the second half of this dual meet is going a lot slower than the first half. The first half seemed like we'd be out of here in 20 minutes. A forfeit and an injury default kind of stopped 2 of those matches quick.
Yeah, since then, it went the full Monty.
Yeah, and then some. And even the tech fall that Incontrera had was the full 7-minute match. You know, so we've had a lot of extra time here in the second half.
Taylor with a good shot. This is probably his best of the match so far, but Sandoval fights it off beautifully.
Digging that underhook, doing a good job, maintaining position there. Maybe had a re-attack there, didn't quite pull the trigger with that underhook, but still in solid position. Oh, whoa, oh.
Fighting off a trip as well. Taylor going for the shot.
You got to think there's going to be a stall call coming here soon with Taylor taking a bunch of shots recently. Sandoval back into the edge as well. Never a good look in the ref's eyes. There's a shot. One more might do the trick. There it is. Yep, stall call on Sandoval. But Taylor's going to need more than that. One stall call won't do it.
20 seconds left here in the period.
A lot of straight on shots by Taylor. You want to see him work a corner again, straight on. not ideal. You kind of want to fake, maybe snap, get to the side, get an angle going. Because once you go straight on, you're dealing with Sandoval's, not only his hands, but also his head in the way. And hard to shoot through someone's head. Stall call, 1 point.
So another point awarded. And Sandoval is willing to take that. He wins the decision. And Taylor ends up a point short at 197. Alex Semenenko will take the heavyweight spot for Brown. See John Pardo for Penn after this. Check that, we'll keep it right here. Pardo strapped in.
Semenenko, a junior, Brooklyn, New York, Pauley Prep High School. And Pardo, freshman, Kennett Square, PA. Kennett High School right up the road here. Semenenko, 20 and 10 on the year. Joe, I found this interesting. Semenenko, freshman year, 5 and 19. Year, 11 and 16. This year as a junior, 20 and 10.
Call that development, huh?
Yeah, I'd say that's good development there, just improving every year. And I feel like from the beginning of the year to the end, he's always been getting better, and it's showing here, being 20 and 10 this season.
Well, you know, one of the other things you noticed 2 years ago, coaching change, right? So
yeah.
you do see a difference in philosophy, perhaps in training, and you know what the approach is going to be here.
Yeah, it goes to speak volumes with Coach Ty Walls, who was a heavyweight back in his day, multiple-time All-American at heavyweight for Virginia Tech. Second year in the program, and the last 2 years have been Semenenko's best. So to your point, probably no coincidence having a good workout partner up there, just kind of picking the brain of a guy like Ty Walls, who's been on the biggest stages, wrestled at elite competition across the world. Semenenko, a tall drink of water as well.
Pardo trying to penetrate the defenses here. Semenenko.
Semenenko looking for a trip, trying to snap down underneath. Pardo does not want to be underneath a big guy like Semenenko, that's for sure. That's a lot of weight putting on you.
This is a precarious position for Pardo, and stalemate has been called.
Yeah, we have the Penn weigh-in sheets here. Pardo weighed in at 232. Semenenko looks to be, what, at least 15, 20 pounds more, so probably pushing 250 at least.
Fair to say, yeah.
And what, 5-6 inches taller as well, so even again, sometimes these heavyweights look like different weight classes.
Although between the two of them, it's been Pardo who's been walking forward and advancing.
Yeah. Definitely gaining some ground here, which says a lot, because being the smaller guy, using a lot more energy to push the guy backwards a little bit. Down to 35 seconds left here in the first. We saw Pardo end the last dual meet with a pin. Nice old-fashioned cement job to end it.
Going for a late shot here is Pardo.
Oh, Semenenko going. Oh,
Oh, look out here. Pardo's got him on his back.
but Semenenko rolls through.
Wow.
These look like 125-pounders out there rolling through, scrambling.
5 seconds left. A little bit of a late flurry there, but no damage done at the end of this first period.
Yeah, Semenenko's looking to go big. I think he rushed that just a little bit, didn't quite in the best position. Props to Pardo for fighting through that, though, and almost getting a pin to end this dual meet as well. Yeah, there we see Semenenko
there and
calling this what we call polar stow. Kind of got that a little too high there, and then boom, uses Pardo's momentum to roll through. Good feel by both wrestlers, honestly. Good wrestling on both guys. There you go, quick escape there for Semenenko. Hard to hold a big guy like that down, I'm sure.
Pardo kind of cutting off access to the center.
Yep, doing what you're supposed to do as a heavyweight, controlling the middle.
But despite the fact that Pardo's down 1 after the Semenenko escape, I have to think that he's feeling pretty good about how he's done so far.
Yeah, he's definitely the aggressor too, like you mentioned. Just not even just moving forward, but taking those half shots and a lot more offensive than what Semenenko has shown thus far.
Inside a minute here in this period.
Yeah, Brown roster has Alex Semenenko listed as 6'2". He looks taller than that to me, though. Unless Pardo is just kind of shorter end.
Possible.
And there's a stall call. I guess that would be warranted. Semenenko not doing too much, but he still keeps that whizzer. No takedown yet. Good wrestling on the edge. Another takedown escape.
Wow.
From Semenenko.
But the Penn faithful feeling good about Pardo's chances, and he's kind of taken on, well, basically from the aggressor to the favorite role in this match based on how it's gone.
There's only so many times you can get so close and not score. You feel like one's coming. The next time you get there, it should be the takedown, but that's why they go out there and wrestle. It's hard to tell. Again, just great from Semenenko, getting his hips up, keeping that whizzer, using the edge of his advantage. Pardo still pushing the pace, though.
3 seconds left.
There's another shot. And there's a stall.
It is. They award the stall.
So he's going to go down.
Yeah, he'll have the chance to take the lead here with an escape.
Yeah. So we went from potentially a tie match to Semenenko assuming Pardo gets the escape. Okay, here's that takedown again. Pardo, boom. Good hips there by Semenenko in the replay. Coming back up to his feet.
Caution against Pardo.
Yep,
there you go, the escape.
So Pardo, 2-1 lead. A few stalling calls in his favor and an escape.
See if Semenenko starts going to his offense now, knowing he has to make something happen if he's going to win this bout.
And it's interesting, too, because we haven't seen much of his offense. As soon as I say that, he shoots. And Pardo behind both legs, keeps the foot in. Takedown confirmed.
Semenenko saying that it's worth a challenge, that he didn't get me.
So there's a challenge brick.
He signaled immediately to his bench saying he did not get me.
Yep.
We'll see. Maybe it could be a desperation situation with 134 left.
Yeah, pretty typical of a wrestler to wish for one, because sometimes you're tired, you just need a break. Sometimes you think it wasn't. But yeah, I mean, again, that was right in front of us. But again, it's hard to tell exactly where the foot was out. I know he was behind both arms. Maybe we can get a good look at what the refs are looking at here. Hard to see. Ref shoulders in the way. Should we go tell him to move, Joe?
Yeah, excuse me, sir.
Sir, you're in our way, please.
We're trying to spy on you.
Have some respect.
Pardo has done a really nice job in this bout so far.
Coach Zaff out there being the heavyweight coach. Coach Cruz out there as well. Both those guys combined probably don't weigh as much as Pardo, but they're out there coaching them.
Officials taking their time with this one, making sure that they get this right.
Yeah, because that's why I love college wrestling. You just need a pinky toe in bounds. That's all you need. Takedown is confirmed, 3. So Semenenko finds himself a hole here yet again. Even bigger hole, I should say.
Well, it's interesting because we talked about his need to get to his offense. His shot led to the takedown by Pardo.
Yep. So Pardo gets Semenenko's leg up in the air.
Look out.
And there's one escape. Pushed him away, and Semenenko squared up. There's the escape. 5-2 now. Semenenko needs a takedown to tie it. 17 seconds riding time, not a factor for Pardo.
Semenenko battling to get low. Pardo winning that leverage battle right now.
Yeah, I mean, we saw one offensive attack from Semenenko, and to be honest, it wasn't the greatest attack, right? Led to a score for Pardo, so I'm sure Semenenko's thinking about that. Maybe he's not going to shoot, but he needs to find some kind of offense.
.35 left. Semenenko's going to make something happen. He's running out of time to do it.
Yep, 20 seconds left here. Semenenko's going to start going desperate, whether it's going to be a shot, some kind of throw. He's got to do something. Pardo did a good job pressing that pace the entire match here, earned that stall warning to give himself a little bit of room. Forced that bad shot by Semenenko. There's another one. Pardo reattacks. Pardo, good action there. Good job by Pardo. Nice win for Quakers there. Another dominant victory for the Quakers.
Pardo able to finish off there, and Penn a very successful afternoon with a pair of wins in their doubleheader. Semenenko and Brown able to pick up a couple of matches, but overall dominating performance by the Penn Quakers. Put a bow on this one as
We get some
by with Jack Miller.
Yeah, we're getting some exhibition matches. I'm not sure if we're going to stream these. It's entertaining for us to watch. Yeah, let's get Jack to get John Pardo. I'd like to see what John has to say. Smart wrestling by John. Pushing the pace and the entire way, keeping center, earning the stall calls.
And it does look as though that's who we're going to get to hear from. So without further ado, Jack Miller standing by, fresh off of the mat. John Pardo, very successful to close this one out on a high note.
Hope Jack keeps his shirt dry. Pardo's pretty sweaty.
Pardo, and you just won the final match of today's doubleheader. You guys won 37-6, beat Harvard 43-0, dominant wins in both dual meets. How do you take this momentum into Cornell next weekend?
You know, after that Columbia match, we talked a lot about bringing that energy and letting that fire in ourselves. So I think we showed that we could do that here today. And, I mean, we're coming for Cornell. That's what we've had that marked on our calendar all year. So we're going to go out there, do the same thing.
Where'd that fire come from in the third period? You guys were tied 1-1 in your match. Then you were able to win with 5 points. Where did that fire come from within you?
I just knew I was in better shape, and I haven't broke position all match, and I was just going to be patient and wait till I get the beat down. So I could